Welcome back to the VML Season 10. We are already in week 6. My name is Filipa and I'm joined by the amazing Misha. Happy Friday, everyone. How are you doing, Misha, today?
Doing great. Happy to be here with you, Filipa.
Great. Today is a very exciting week. Week 6 is always that decisive week. There's only one left until the playoffs. So players are making the mathematics, seeing can I make it in top 2 of my division? And today we are looking at some of those matchups. We are looking at those that are almost there, almost making it, and between doing it or not. So can we take a look at our meta breakdown?
All right. So, to no one's surprise, Esper Legends came in first again. But in second this week, we have Mono Red Aggro knocking, I believe I think it was Selesnya Enchantments. I don't think that was even second. I think it was Five Color Ramp that was second last week. But Mono Red Aggro climbs to second. Then we have Selesnya Enchantments, Orzhov Midrange, and then Azorius Soldiers. And then a few five color ramp decks, Azorius Control, Mono Blue Tempo still hanging in there, Mono White Aggro, Rakdos Midrange still hasn't completely fallen off. Then the rest of the decks are about two or three a pop, bunch of fringe. But we got some a little bit more of a split now that the bans have kind of taken the effect, and we're no longer seeing that overwhelming Rakdos deck. So
So much mono red. Indeed, this deck has climbed to be in the top. And if before bans we saw Rakdos as being the number one deck or Grixis, now that deck doesn't even make the top 5 of our decks. So that's crazy to see how the metagame has evolved without standard really rotating, just with a couple of bans, Fable of the Mirror Breaker. And Bankbuster being a key card in those decks, as well as Invoke Despair. And before we take a look at our player's profile, I cannot forget to thank our amazing sponsors, Wizards of the Coast and Good Luck i5. Without them, we could not do the VML happen. So thank you so much. Thank you as well for all the players and everyone watching. And let's take a look at our first pair of players here for today. So first we have a Lilpumpkin here, and she is on Division 14, 4-1 currently with Esper Control. What do you think of this deck, Misha?
ooh, this deck. We've got lots of card draw, counter spells, board wipes. It's as controlly as you can as they come. I am very excited to see the Chrome Host Seed Shark. Haven't seen that too much, and I hope it makes an appearance. There are three main board.
And Lilpumpkin here is playing against a mono red deck, and here Malte MTG he is on Division 14 as well, also 4-1. And here is those matchup that start to being very decisive. Both players are 4-1. This week is very important to make sure that they can make it into the playoffs. And what do you think of this mono red aggro deck?
This mono red deck, it's pretty close to the standard. I did notice that he's added some rampaging raptors and the Nihiri's warcrafting, which I think the Nihiri's warcrafting, since the opponent it doesn't really have a ton of creatures, but the fact that it can go straight to planeswalkers, I think will be very important in this matchup.
I agree with you, and let's take a start here in the games as our players will be ready to start. And we are taking a look here from Lilpumpkin's side, and we see that she had to take a mulligan here. What do you think of this hand?
Ooh, yeah, I definitely think that the mulligan was the right move. One land that wasn't probably going to be enough. I do think this is keepable. We get a triome out there first.
We are starting with a Triumph against Mono Red. These top lands can start earthing a lot. And we see already here we starting with a 2-1 ready to attack very soon. And we see that Lil Pumpkin does have Go for Throat, which is going to be able to take care of a threat. But we see that Malta has a lot of answers.
Yeah, that monastery mentor is going to come out. It does have haste, but taking out the 2-1, going to save yourself at least one damage in the early game.
One thing that I'm thinking is that this shark 2-4 is key toughness because it does not die for lightning strike.
It doesn't, but Malte did main deck 3 Lithomantic Barrages, which, as we know, is very strong against Azorius, doing 5 damage to blue and white creatures.
And why do you think he made that decision to main deck this card that usually plays more sideboard?
Um, I know, because he answered it in our weekly questions. He very much metagamed Little Pumpkin, so, he even admitted to it.
And we have here a squee in end. That squee can come very soon. We also have Shivan Devastator and an invasion on the other side. And here, Misha, do you think usually players in Mono Red prioritize taking care of the battle or just going face and trying to finish the game as soon as possible?
I think if I'm multi, I just wanna try to go face. The only and I think I would go for the squee right now because just getting that extra damage in, I think, is important. But the Devastator coming out, I think that might be a little early. It's kind of a small Devastator, but, it might be okay.
We do have another in end ready as well to attack. And 3 damage here doesn't seem like much, but the truth is that Lil Pumpkin is going down to 9 if she's not able to do anything here. And we see cards like Deluge that usually are great. They are very bad against this specific matchup.
Yeah, Deluge is great when you know you're gonna go to the mid game, to the late game, draws you a lot of cards, gives you the card advantage. But when you're just trying to survive in the early game, not the best not the best option. The cut down I do think is gonna be very important, potentially taking out the Squee, the Shivan Devastator, and you only have to use 1 mana for it, so you could still Memory Deluge. But I think just getting a blocker, that Chrome Host and holding up the cut down is probably better.
Yes, and here is that if that Chrome OS survives, things can start getting tricky for Malte because with cut down, being able to do some removal and then being able to start using those artifacts as well, transforming it into creatures, getting some more blockers. We do know that Malte has Nahiris in hand, so that will be able to deal 5 damage to the shark.
Yeah. The this is very interesting because at this point, I think I might have Nahiri'd my own battle just in order to get the dragon from the backside.
That's a very interesting point because usually we do not use removal on the bottle, but it's a great idea in this particular case. But here, Malta decided to go with another line and just go more aggressive.
Yeah, I guess there is always the fear that Little Pumpkin might start casting some spells, getting the incubator tokens, and then flipping them into creatures, which is going to be a little bit difficult for Malty. But we know that Malty does have a couple more Shivan Devastators waiting.
And also a Squee, Dubious Monarch, that's ready to start attacking. And this attack is dangerous because right now, 4 more damage, threatening here. Lil Pumpkin can make a token here, might block the 1 1, just taking a trade. Here, deciding if she wants to instead block Squee, maybe, prevent some more damage, and deciding to block the 1 1 at 4 now.
Mm. This is not looking good for Little Pumpkin. 2 memory deluges when you have a Squee, Monastery Mentor. 3 memory deluges on
Sorry
the
to laugh about this situation, but I'm so sorry, little pumpkin, because that third deluge is not what you want to see.
no, and then, yeah, seeing another haste creature come out, and there's the Kamano faces Kakazan in hand to deal that 1 extra damage if necessary. I don't wanna be presumptuous, but this does look to be like it's about to be over, at least
It
game 1.
does look, and I have to give props there, Bisha, for your pronunciation on that card because you just did it so impeccable. I cannot never. That's my thing. Card names sometimes I mess with them, but you just did such a great job there.
Thank you.
And there it is, the damage, and nothing Lil Pumpkin can do except take the loose here. But this is why this game is best of three, because now we are able to find some sideboard solutions. And Misha, tell me a bit about this sideboard here from the Esper control side.
Well, I definitely think that some of the higher cost cards are going to come out. We're going to need to get some removal more early game. These board wipes, great late game, but if you're not living to the late game, not as useful. So the cup down is going to go up to 4. Uh, yeah, I think I saw a couple of sunfalls come down. The memory deluges come down. Um, I'm not necessarily sure if duress is worth boarding in. But Yeah, Legions to Ashes, that makes the cut.
And here on the mono red side, anything that catches your attention, I see some dinosaurs inside board. I also see a dragon, some removal, vending. What do you think here?
I think getting those Chandras in is a good choice. It looked like the Devastators. We were struggling a little bit on mana. The Chandra can, it's 3 mana. You can deal some damage, get some mana. So I think bringing that in, it was a good choice. Uh, yeah, I think just keeping the curve as low as possible is going to be in Multi's favor here.
Yeah, and we see here the decision being made. It's not easy now on the draw because, first of all, Esper Control will have so much more sideboard cards being able to deal with mono red. And then the fact that you are on the draw as the mono red player is never great. Do you think this mono red can be fast enough to beat the Esper Control?
Oh, absolutely. If I remember correctly, I think game one, the mono red deck was on the draw.
Oh, great point. So here we will have to see if we can repeat the feat and if a little pumpkin now can take over the mono red or Malte will take the game again. And what do you think of this opening here from both sides?
I think this is a pretty good one for Little Pumpkin. You got the 2 cut downs, you have, at least access to 1 Triome and a Plains. I think Maltese is a little bit slower, not getting going until turn 2. Of course, we're gonna see the cut down come in and take that out.
And two cut downs is amazing, but here little pumpkin missing the third land drop, which is crucial.
Yeah, that's gonna hurt a little bit, but we do see the counterspell, so luckily, even though we're getting a little stuck on mana on Little Pumpkin's side, counterspell came in, did its job.
And there it is, the third land. Now things are looking better. We do still have the cut down, and that Chandra we were able to remove would make disappear. Cut down, but this cut down means that Lil Pumpkin is running lower on removal, but there it is, fourth land. And now, almost having access to Sunfall, we have access to Go for the Throat, we have the Shark. So we have a lot of answers here for whatever Malte can try to do.
Yeah, I definitely, looking at Malty's hand, we know that he has the 2 Lithomantic Barrages, so that's going to be an answer to the Chrome Host Seed Shark. But we also see on Little Pumpkin's side, Go for the Throat, Legions to Ashes, Sunfall. So there's both players have answers to what the other player has in hand and is trying to do.
And we see a lot of these post sideboard, right? Where a players will sideboard and then they'll have the answers for each other deck.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that the goal?
That's true. And we see here we're taking care of the Chandra and still keeping up, go for the throat. So Lil Pumpkin, she's in a good position right now, still at 17 live. And this is turn 6. So at turn 6, being able to still be at 17 line against Mono Red, usually it's a good fit. But we see here that Malta keeps applying pressure and those points of damage start stacking up.
Yeah, they really do. Getting the Chrome Host Seed Shark out now is a really good move just because, we know that Multi has the barrage, but just getting to do even just a singular go for the throat can potentially make the incubator token and put another blocker on the field for Little Pumpkin.
And here, very interesting, we see Lil Pumpkin do go for the throat before that Lithomanic Barriage resolves to be able to make an incubator. That way, having access to one more blocker. And here, it's kind of a tricky position for Lil Pumpkin because she has to try to take as much damage as she can to try to let Malte develop the board to then that Sunfall to be better. But how greedy can you be?
Yeah, that's the risk of playing in a more control versus an aggro deck is you have to really weigh your risks because how many cards does multi have that do direct damage? How many haste creatures can you block? And it gets dangerous.
And here we have another shark, which is great for Lil Pumpkin. And now it looks like she is the one on the aggressor seat with two creatures, while Malty does not have any creature. on the board right now.
Yeah, Malty, it appears that he's starting to get a little bit stuck in mana, which, usually isn't an issue for mono red since the curve is low to the ground, but it definitely plays is a big impact when you're stuck at 3 and you have an X red creature.
But this Abrasca's Forge is going to be able to actually deal a lot of damage because every turn it's going to be growing, and even if Lilpumpkin is able to deal with it, you keep spawning a new minion every turn, and it also, if even if you have a board wipe, doesn't quite work.
Mhm. Yeah, holding up that go for the throat for the Devastator was a great move, but, like, as you said, that Urabrask's Forge, it's dangerous, so I think Lil Pumpkin keeping that 2/2 blocker back is a good move because she already got hit for 5 just off the Urabrask's Forge the past 2 turns.
And here a Ganju might be able to deal with one of the attackers, but that's the thing. As I said, it will keep every turn respawning, and I guess a reason that why Malte brought this card after sideboard. And there we have 4 damage. We're still going to take 4, and that as trample as well.
Mhm.
What a
Yeah.
card. I'm becoming a fan of this sideboard card from now on. I actually never saw it playing constructed, but Ubraska's Forge, I'm a fan.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing, and this is the first game I've seen with it, and, I like it. But what a top deck! Lil Pumpkin exiling the Forge.
Not bad at all. And here we can start gaining some life with that Celestus. 3 life though. Usually that's a key number because if Malte is able to find something like Lightning Strike, that's going to be game. But did not find, and Lil Pumpkin here at 1 life.
Oh, wow, yeah, Little Pumpkin's at 1 HP in a dream. That Invasion of Tarkir, 2 damage directly to the face, that
Oh, but that's
ooh,
the card.
it sure is. I think Lil Pumpkin might still be in this. That Sunset Revelry, that gains is it 4 life, if I'm remembering correctly?
If let me take a look here at the exact wording on that. So it's Sunset Revelry. If an opponent has more life than you gain 4 life. If an opponent controls more creatures than you create 2/1/1 humans. And if your opponent has more cards in hand, you draw a card. But as I said, the game is over, and Mono Red able to take a clean 2-0 here.
Yep. Malty did a good job metagaming for Little Pumpkin, and it paid
For
off.
sure. What a game. And this is usually what happens when we see mono red players play. It's called mono red deck wins for a reason. The deck does win a lot. But we have a lot more magic to see today. So let's take a look at our second match of the day at our player slide to see what they decide to bring. And speaking of the devil, here is mono red aggro piloted by Anna. So Anna is on Division 6 and currently she is 3-2. Although 3-2 doesn't guarantee that you're making into the playoffs, maybe Fun is able to win this week and next week she has a chance to make it. Depends a lot on her division. I have made it into playoffs with a score of 5-2. Sometimes people cannot make it, so it really depends. And what do you think of her deck here? Something different than the one that we just saw?
Yeah, so first off, I just to go back a little bit, I took a look at Anna's division, and there is one undefeated person who is actually Anna's opponent this week. But I think everyone else in that division is either 2-3 or 3-2. So there is still a very high chance that Anna could make it to the end, depending on how this game goes. But yes, the deck. So prior or con, ugh, wow, words. Different from the 2 decks we saw before, this one runs Phoenix Chicks. It's got some stuff in the air. We might be able to see a little bit more lightning strikes, play with fire, so a little bit more direct damage coming through. So that's a little bit different from what we've seen in the last game.
Yeah, and I really like looking at these answers by our players that they always tell us different questions. I really like also the questions that were made this week. If you could vacation to any plane, where would you go? And I like this answer, particular Innistrad, because I would also planeswalk into Innistrad. Uh, and I really like to see these players' answers. Let's take a look though at who Anna is going to play against. And it looks like is Noor. We see Noor over and over again here on the feature because usually she is doing very well. So Faye is currently 5-0 on Division 6. So there it is, the undefeated player that you were just talking about
Mhm.
with such a spicy deck. Grixis Bridge. Okay, tell me about this deck, Misha, please.
Okay, I'd be happy to because I asked Noor about it earlier today. So, the 3 cards to watch. Obviously, Chandra, getting the double spell on your instants and sorceries, that's huge because you're trying to get to breach the multiverse. You're trying to get to it quicker. There's a lot of ways in order to do that in this deck. There's also card stealing. There's removal, and then the Hidetsugu and Kairi helps you get to that position to where you're getting to you're basically just searching for it and able to potentially cast it for free. Sometimes if you remove your own Hidetsugu and Kairi, you get the free breach if it's on top. So this is going to be a very interesting deck. I did a little bit of research that Noor sent me earlier, and there's a lot of versatility. So I'm very excited to see how it matches up.
And I have to say, I really like because our players can name the deck, and what Nor did here, Faye said that the deck is called "I Just Want to Grill for God's Sake," and that's interesting. So let's take a look at what Nor is playing against, and not an easy opponent to beat. Oh, we are getting right into here the match, and we see a look at the mono red. So we have Anna's vision here first. I got confused for a second. We already had watched Anna's player side. What do you think of this hand, Misha?
This is a little risky. You have the turn 1 play. You have a bunch of 1 drops, but, you could also just do the play with fire turn 1 in, scry, but Anna's gonna do the spicy move and do the Kamano saying, "I have a chance to draw a land next turn. If I don't, maybe then we'll see the play with fire."
Oof, but no chance here as Anna did not get that second land. But as you said, play with fire is going to be a key decision because if she is able to scry, the chances to get that second land will increase dramatically. We see though here Nor having go for the throat.
Mhm. Yeah, this is going to hurt Anna because she's gonna have to do that play with fire and scry for that land because she really can't afford to miss another drop, and she would have if she didn't.
And we see here the upkeep scry again, no
Ooh.
land. This
Yeah,
has
that
to feel very bad here for Anna, but it does happen. And Mono Red, if she's able to get the second land, a lot of threats in end. So the game is not over yet.
that is correct. And Noor's looking pretty okay over there. And the Siphon Insight, you can cast at instant speed, the Make Disappear, if anything does come up that needs counterspelling. So it looks like they're fair doing pretty good.
I really like this deck. Actually, I got inspired. I played a similar deck and I really love it. Siphon Insights is such a great card. Being able to get something from your opponent's deck. There, a mountain. Just like
Mhm.
Anna, you wanted a mountain? I'll take one of your mountains.
You know, as bad as I feel for Anna, sometimes keeping your opponent mana screwed is the play.
And we have here Itsugo. And
All
let's
right.
put some cards back on the top of our library. And now Nor has access to go for the throat and make disappear two amazing cards, especially when you have a 5/4 flying that can finish the game in 4 turns.
Yeah. You know, at a certain point, do you need to breach the multiverse if you just hit for 5?
That's a good point. You probably don't need to, just extra flavor points.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, yeah, Anna is definitely in a tough position here with still not getting any more lands.
Felden entering the battlefield, but Faye is going to counter it with Make Disappear. And making indeed that Felden disappear, still keeping Siphon inside
Oh,
and go
yeah,
for
and
throat.
here we'll see. Okay, we saw the Warcrafting. getting taken this time because that warcrafting can potentially hit that invasion and create a flyer. So I think that was a good choice on Noor's side, being able to prevent a giant five. Is it a 5/5 or a 4? It's whatever it is, a giant dragon in the air.
That is true, and we see here that Nairi's warcrafting, and we got access to a land. And there is the clock that I was talking about. Anna down to 5. And now Nor is like, okay, do you have something or not? Because next turn, my Itsugo is going to take care of the game. And we see here a concession, good games. Now we see that Nor is up 1 game. Let's take a look here at our sideboards. What do you think that Anna can sideboard against Nor?
I think the Lithomantic Barrage isn't a bad choice because that does take out the Hitotsugu and Kairi, um, if necessary. The only downside is if there's a big spell on top, you're basically taking a risk. So that wouldn't be the worst, just to get that off the field since it is a big strong flyer. Um, but I think we really just have to hope for a little bit better mana this next game.
And on the other side, we are seeing Nor here sideboard. And what do you think she's going to bring here post sideboard? Any
Honestly, I think the
particular
cut
card?
yeah, I was about to say the cut downs because 'cause you're gonna have a lot of small creatures. I do think the shoulders are a good choice just because a little bit of incidental life gain, that's incredibly important in an aggro matchup, is if you can gain any life, that lets you hold on for a bit longer.
And one land, I don't think that is enough, unfortunately, there. So we might see Mulligan from North side. I think the names are switched.
Yes, yes, they are switched.
Oh, but no, it's fixed.
Okay.
Phoebe works in such our amazing producers works in such amazing ways that we just have to say 1 second and it's fixed. Lightning strike fixing over here for this amazing producer that we have. Big shout out to Phoebe. Mono Red starting to do what Mono Red does best, playing creatures and attacking for a lot of damage. On the other side, we see Blood Tide Harvester. Oh, Furnace Punisher, and that is going to actually be able to give 2 damage here on the upkeep.
Yeah, this Punisher is a really strong card against Noor's deck because I'm not sure the exact numbers. I'd have to look at the deck list, but just having so many, dual lands, that's 2 incidental damage every upkeep on Noor's turn. So that and it has menace, a 3/3, 3 basics. Yeah, that's going to be difficult to you're gonna be taking a lot of damage just off of that, and having a 3/3 with menace, it avoids the cut down, so go for the throat's really the only option, I believe, to take that out.
And here, what happened is that Anna attacked first, being able to see that now Nor doesn't have access to enough mana to play Make Disappear. So she's going here to deploy that Jaya and start making some threats. And this is difficult to deal from Nor's side because usually Fae has a lot of removal for creatures or counter magic. But once a Planeswalker eats the board, it gets a bit more tricky.
Yeah, the easiest way for Nora's deck to handle a Planeswalker is to prevent it from ever sticking, but
That's true. And we see here if one Furnace Punisher was bad, two, the second one is even worse. And there's Make Disappear, but Make Disappear has these issues sometimes where if you don't have the creature to casualty, it just becomes a very specific counter here, being able to take care of one of the threats, but maybe not even enough because look at Anna attacking now for 2, that uh, Punisher is going to start punish.
yeah. I did say that the easiest way is to prevent it from hitting the board, but, Line of the Night, it might not be able to take care of Jaya now, but it can take care of that Furnace Punisher that's doing all that extra damage.
Land here for Anna, but we also see that there's Mishra's Foundry being able to start dealing some damage soon, and we can use Jaya -1. Play with Fire is a great card, so we are going to be able to create a 2/2, and those monks, they are going to grow, and this is going to be game 2. we are going to get for a game number 3. Now things get a bit more tricky for Mono Red game 3 because here Anna is going to be on the draw. Do you think anything changes when the Mono Red is on the draw?
In my mind, when mono red's on the draw, I think you do need to consider um, maybe getting a few more. I was gonna say a few more of like maybe the low cost creatures to get out hasted, but it's just tricky because you're always a step behind, and that's hard when you're an aggro deck.
And let's take a look here at the sideboard from Noor's side. I think Noor just keeping what she already have. And we are seeing Anna's side. She did take a mulligan, but now this end looks pretty decent.
Yes, not bad getting out. Well,
Oh, Duras. And that Duras is going to actually be able to take that lightning strike, which is very relevant because now Anna only has access to very limited cards and very dependent on getting some non-land off the top.
and of course we see land off the top. Definitely not what Anna's looking for right now. But still has the Phoenix check, comes out with haste, so it'll be an extra damage. But it looks like Noor has a response.
And then it is cut down. And game 3, we are not able to show Norse, and that's also for some mystery purpose, unintentionally. And we see here Anna dealing some more damage, but that Phoenix Cheek, 1 damage at a time, it starts hurting, but I don't think it hurts enough where Nor cares that much. Although on the other side, that Jaya, we saw how amazing that card is. Is there a chance that it resolves?
If I'm Anna looking at Noor's 4 untapped mana, I would not be running that Jaya out onto the board just yet.
Yeah, and we see that decision made by Anna. But look at the amount of lands. Poor Anna drawing land after land. That's not what you want to be doing, especially running mono red. None of those lands is a Mishra's Fountain, even, just mountains. So cut down, taking care of that only threat that Anna had. And here we see Nor just playing land and passing. We don't know what's the other side, so maybe Norris experienced the same problem that as Anna and just drawing land after land.
Yeah, I mean, Noor hasn't missed a land drop either, so we can assume that both sides are drawing a fair amount of lands. Anna did take the safe route of playing the Jaya with 2 open mana so that Make Disappear was not able to counter because there's no casualty option.
And things are looking much better now for Anna. We see the player with fire is going to be able to potentially scry us and make sure we don't get another land off the top. If that Jaya survives, it's going to start providing a lot of value for Anna as well. So Nor here, Faye needs to get an answer. And Chandra, whoa, speaking about good planeswalker, what do you think of Chandra Ope's Beacon?
Like Noor told me earlier today, that is by far the best card in the deck. It doubles your spells, it lets you dig for answers. It's an amazing planeswalker. So that's huge for Noor off the top.
And here, Anna deciding where that play with fire potentially can end up. I don't think here Anna is a strong. Oh, okay. So that actually is very relevant because with lightning strike and play with fire and attacking with the 1/1, you do have to use all of your resources, but you can take care of that Chandra.
Yeah, I honestly it's scary when you divert your aggro forces at a planeswalker rather than going face because, that's what the ultimate goal is, kill your opponent. But with Chandra on board, I think it's worthwhile to play with Fire the Chandra, get the prowess trigger, and then lightning strike for that final bit of damage and hope that that one remaining mana on Noor's side is not being held up for a cast down.
Yeah, that would be indeed very sad, but we see here Anna going for it. 2 damage on Chandra. Chandra now down to 4. Considering where to use Jaya exactly. We see
Right.
the
Well,
lightning strike resolving, and we are going to finish that Chandra off. But that Chandra was able to, in the end, gain you 6 lives, so not that bad.
yeah. I did get a little worried when I saw that lightning strike come up without having attacked first because I was wondering if the cut down was there or not. And apparently it was not.
It was not, and actually saving 7 life now that I'm thinking, because we did deal some extra damage to Chandra. So now we were able to take care of the Jaya, which is huge for Noor. Does Faye have a follow up? Play with Fire by Anna, 2 damage. Let's see what we can scry. Another Play with Fire. Do we keep on top or not? Tough decision
I
here.
I personally think I would because it's a if as long as it resolves, it's a guaranteed 2 damage to face and you're going to get a prowess trigger off those 2 monks. So you're potentially getting 6 damage in on top of the 4 already here. But Anna decided not.
And we have Go for Throat, 2 damage. So Nor able to kind of stabilize at currently 12 life. That Dura's taking care of nothing because there's only one land in hand. And that's not a
Oh,
bad top deck.
that is definitely not what Noor wants to see right now. But it's there. It's on the board.
And let's see here
Oh,
what Nor
wait.
might do.
I misspoke. There are 2 basic lands. I see an island and a swamp. So Noor's actually okay in terms of taking the damage off the lands. However, a 3/3 with Menace, not so much.
And we have here Invasion, which also triggers the prowess and dealing 2 damage. And here, if Anna wants, she can take care of that invasion and get the 4 for dragon. And looks
No.
like she's going for it.
Mhm.
Go for Throat, though, being able to save Nor in this situation, but she needs something really good off the top.
Yeah, it looks like both players are kind of in a top decking position at this point. Anna has the 1/1 with prowess, but oh, the
That's
Foundry. It,
that's okay, but not ideal. And here we see Anna just going face, trying to finish off Nor as soon as possible.
yeah, because at the further we go, the more this match favors Noor. So it's it's getting a little scary for Anna, with Noor being at 8, knowing that if I can just get Noor down a little bit lower, I might be able to quench it with maybe a few spells that go face.
And we see here Chandra that Faye got with the Takanuma. So Chandra here going to be able to provide a lot of value for Nor. We see Duress. Duress is irrelevant, but that big score can indeed be a big score for Nor, as she has to pass the turn for now, it looks like.
Yeah,
But with 2 cards in hand,
yeah, Noor definitely has the card advantage currently. This Kakazan faces, or Kumano faces Kakazan will help out, get that prowess trigger, 1 direct damage, and Anna does have mana to not crew, to get the Misha's Foundry on board.
and there it is, 4 more damage. If Nor doesn't have an answer, it's going to go down. She's going to go down to 3 life. Let's see. Down to 3. But that Chandra can turn the game. Right now, if there was an advantage bar, I would be very indecisive or on when to flip it, to be honest.
Yeah, this is a very like it's a scary predicament for Noor being at 3 life, but with that big score, there's a lot of opportunity for Noor to draw into something that can really turn this around for her.
Definitely, and also that Chandra being able to exile. Okay, giving mana here, I would be scared if I was on Anna's side. Why does Nor need 2 more mana when
I'm
she already has so
I'm
many?
I'm going to assume it's Breach the Multiverse. Yep.
and copying it as well because of Chandra. So let's take a look what that bridge can get us.
Noor's deck is doing the thing.
And if there's something like a Shieldred, for example, then that big score is going to be able to draw to gain us so much more life eventually.
I think I saw Noor say that the Shieldred was exiled off of one of the Chandra upticks.
Ooh, okay, I
Both
see.
Shieldreds were.
Great attention to detail there. That might make a difference, but let's see what we can find. Okay, so we have Corpse Appraiser. We also have the Blood Tide Adversary, Exiling Phoenix Cheek,
Yep, that should be the only creature in Anna's um, deck list that has any kind of graveyard recursion. So definitely the choice from Anna's side for Noor to want to exile.
and let's mill some more cards. I wonder how many cards there in each player's library.
It
There's still
looks
20 something.
Yeah, there's 22 in Anna's and 4 in Noor's. So
Ooh, okay. So that's a way that we have to be careful to not mill ourselves. And here we
Mhm.
see Noor take time to make the decision. So hopefully that's a good sign. Oh, okay, taking another Chandra and another bloodthirsty adversary. So here that Chandra might be able to take care of that 1/1, or we can draw more, we can get more mana. There are a lot of options here for Noor. I would be scared though, because something like Lightning Strike is enough to finish Noor.
yeah, I definitely if I were in Noor's position, I would definitely be hoping I have a counter spell in hand to help, keep myself safe from a potential lightning strike off the top.
And we see here Noor attacking with 2/2, or at least deciding to, and going for it. So let's see what is Anna's top deck. Top land. That's
Well,
some additional damage, but not enough quite yet. But now, something like Play with Fire is another option that Anna has to finish North. So,
yeah, it's like inch by inch, Anna getting closer and closer, but Noor's holding on. This is a very, very close game 3.
definitely a very interesting match here. And we see just Nor swinging with everything. That 7 damage, leaving Anna at 10 if that does go through. Anna can activate the Mishra's Foundry and block some damage there, but
Yeah, this is very scary because Noor does have the light up the night that can do damage to any target.
and we can double that because of Chandra, right?
I believe so.
That's quite the way to go. And we see here that Anna is actually considering that and going to block, choosing what blocks to make. So going here for Corpse Appraiser, down to 13.
And then let's see what Noor decides to do. I'm
Add
assuming it's
2
going to be
mana.
light up the night.
So we have 2 more mana. Now we have access to 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, but not using it. And I wonder what's on our side. We see Sokenzan being able to make 2 more creatures. And here we need... Okay, so we do have Go for Throat. We can copy Go for Throat. Those 1/1s look like artifacts, but they are not.
Yeah, I believe there's spirits.
Yeah, good for for Nor here that they are not artifacts, so that Go for Throat is able to deal with 2 things. And oh my god, Anna is going to potentially leave Nor at 1, but decided not to go for it.
Yeah, this. Ooh, this is so close.
Adding more mana here from Chandra, Opes Beacon. And at this point, that light up has to be enough, right?
I believe I'm trying to see, is the Chandra at 7? Yes, it is.
It's at 7.
Yep. Wow. What a
What
game.
what a game, and here such close games. Congratulations to Noor. I think Faye is now undefeated at 6-0.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really insane. Congratulations. I know that she's here in chat. So, congratulations on winning the match. Anna, as well, congratulations on such a good performance. Fighting for her life, but in the end, was not able to make it. Phew, I'm still trying to
I know
recover from
I'm
this
still
one.
sweating. That game, I was like, who's gonna get it? Is there
Yeah,
anyone?
and the fact that we could not see what was on Nora's end, Nora's hand actually really helped us out because it was kind of building up the suspense for such a great game. Well, I'm a fan of this deck now, but let's take a look at what our next matchup here. Take a look at our player's profile. We have two more matches today, so we are right now halfway through, and we have Gabby Leesman on. Surprise, surprise, mono red aggro, and she is on division 4, 2 and 3 currently. And what do you think of this deck? Kind of what we saw, or some different card that you noticed?
This one is very similar to the one we just saw Anna playing. It focuses on the Kumanos, the Feldons, the Phoenix chicks. We have the invasions in there. So it's going to be very similar to what we just saw. It's just the matchup's going to be a little different.
And speaking of matchup, let's see what is on the other side and what Gabby has to face. Surprise, surprise, mono red aggro. Actually, mono red aggro can be so interesting. And Feather here, division 4, currently 4-1. And is this build any different from what Gabby's playing, or is it kind of the same?
The only difference, I believe, is the Thundering Raiju in this deck. I do not believe Gabby's deck has any copies of Thundering Raiju. So we're going to be looking to get a few counters on this one.
So let's take a look here at the games as our players are ready to rumble. And we see, ooh, I like the
Yeah,
mountain choice
both
by
players have
Feather.
pretty mountains.
I love it. So let's take a look here. We have two mountains, Mishra's Founder. We have Kamano, Monastery, and Lightning Strike. Ooh, and that Felden looks really good as well. So it looks like Gabi is going to start with Kumano.
Yep, we'll see a Kumano. I have a feeling Feather is going to play, or maybe not. Maybe going to wait to get prowess for the monastery mentor later. But play with fire in hand if scrying is necessary. You can hit face, trigger prowess. It's all great. We love it.
And it looks like Gabi here going for Felden because of Kumano is now a 3-3 and starting their race because usually these mono red games go like this.
Yeah, it's always wild seeing these mono red battles because everybody's attacking. Nobody wants to keep their creatures back for blocking. What's that? No, thank you.
And we see that Gabi has a lot of answers in hand. Phoenix being able to now cast two threats. She can do something like Swift Spear or Phoenix Cheek, followed up by a Lightning Strike. So a lot of options, which is usually very good.
Yeah, I think if I were in Gabby's position, I'd be doing this. I'd be swift spearing, lightning strikes yeah, maybe the mentor here. I'm always a fan of striking to face, but that might not always be the right option.
And here we see taking care of 5 damage and now Feather down to 11. Raiju is going to enter though and being able to deal 5, 6, 7 damage. So that's pretty good.
Mhm.
And actually, Gabi losing this race, it looks like. Although, look at this Lightning Strike and Phoenix Cheek. How much is this for damage? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we are a bit off, but taking care of this Raiju.
Yeah, that Raiju has to go. That incidental damage off of the bloodthirsty adversary having a counter, that and then adding more counters, that would potentially put Gabby at lethal next turn if she decided to attack all. So I think that was the right choice taking out the Raiju.
And
You get your
here,
prowess trigger.
exactly, and here deciding to not use that play with fire or phoenix sheet quite yet, trying to make sure that Feather cannot get little this turn. But we are going to see here, looks like an adversary is going to enter the battlefield, and we do have mana to pay the extra cost.
Yep. Ooh, that's that's a little scary because yeah, we can get the extra cost to cast something from a graveyard.
2 mana, we pay 3 more. Now, that play with fire can get rid of the bloodthirsty adversary, so that's a step in the right direction. And I think Gabby here might wait to see what Feather is getting from the graveyard. So taking care here with play with fire or no? Oh, but not taking care of it means that the game is over because now this player of
Mhm.
fire is not enough.
Yeah, getting that 1/1 counter puts it out of range to remove, and yeah, that will be just enough for lethal.
That is enough. Looks like Gabby maybe didn't use play with fire on time, and that is going to be it.
All right. Well,
Exactly 6 damage.
yeah, that's one thing with these mono red decks. You have to be very precise with your combat math because every bit of damage counts. These prowess triggers, every little piece of damage to face makes a difference, especially when you're racing the exact same deck or very maybe not the exact same but very close to the same deck.
Exactly. And here, especially in this mirror, as you said, every point of damage counts. Do you think there's going to be a lot of sideboard cards in after game 1?
Um I wouldn't have expected many. I do think adding the Chandras is the right move and taking out some of maybe the higher mana. Obviously, the Furnace Punishers aren't going to do any of that incidental damage based off of the basic lands, but even just having a 3/3 with Menace isn't the worst. But again, this deck, when you're racing, you're not caring nearly as much about blockers. It's just who can get there first. So a lot of it is who's on the play.
Exactly, and that's a very important point. Play and draw plays such an important role, especially when you're playing mono red. And in this mirror, also a thing that I think is really important is this matchup and this mirror particularly is to find out who's the aggressor. Who's on the aggressor seat? Like, are you both trying to race? Is one of the mono red players doing more a defensive role and trying to prevent what the opponent is doing?
Yeah, because I mean, you never want to keep any of your creatures back for blockers in mono red, and it's scary, but mhm, sometimes it's the thing to do, but most of the time it's really not.
We have here Mountain and Kumano starting with 1 damage. That's exactly where Gabi wants to be.
Yeah,
And
Gabby's deck is definitely or their hand is a little bit I think a little bit better catered toward especially being on the play. They have more one drops, where Feather, you know, everything starts at 2 on Feather's side.
exactly, and here that play with fire is going to most likely take care of something. Oh, but it looks like here Feather goes for more of a defensive role with obliterating bolt.
That's not a bad idea because that does exile the Phoenix chick.
And play with fire, we are able to see mountain on the top, and we are going to leave that mountain right there on the top. We have Kumano now transforming into a 2/2 AC. We have also Invasion of Tarkir that's going to be able to deal 2 more damage, and another Kumano in end.
Gabby trying to decide whether to play the invasion. Definitely will do 2 damage to Feather. Now it's does the Kumano come out? And it will. There's a risk of potentially not having a creature to get that counter next turn, but even if that doesn't happen, you still get a 2/2 when it ticks down to number 3.
And we see here Chandra Dress to Kill. And what a top deck for Gabby. This Chandra Dress to Kill can do a lot of work in this matchup. But looks like Feather is also prepared, having access to something like Lightning Strike.
Mhm.
Going for a plus.
Feather electing not to lightning strike while on the stack.
Interesting choice. Let's see why that might be. And we see the 2/2 getting the lightning strike. So here Feather opting to take care of that creature that is keeps damaging instead of the Chandra. We do have ace creatures that can deal a lot of damage to that Chandra. So right now we see that Squee is, if Squee goes to Chandra, it's already 3 damage, leaving Chandra at 1.
Yeah. Gabby is in an interesting position, not drawing creatures, having the bloody betrayal, but actually the bloody betrayal might come in handy right here. If Gabby steals it, attacks the invasion, that would potentially create the dragon. Am I right?
Yeah, that for sure. And another good thing is that when you steal the squee, although you have to return the squee in the end of the turn, you get to keep the 1/1 that's created with the squee. And here, Gabi assessing very well where the damage needs to go, and dealing 2 additional damage to face, getting that 4/4, and Feather
Yeah.
needs to be able to deal with this somehow because this dragon is going to start dealing so much damage, and there's also Chandra. So here,
Yeah.
considering where to attack,
Yeah, if if I'm Gabby, I'm just like, "This is fine. I'll take it. I don't want you to touch my 4/4. I'm playing mono red. I know what's in that deck. I know that most of these things only do up to 3 damage."
exactly,
We
and that's
we've
exactly
already
what
seen
we see.
1 obliterating bolt, so
And by doing these attacks, another thing is that Feather did not keep any defenders, anything to block here. And this is going to be quite the damage because even if Feather is able to deal with one of the creatures, first of all, it's not going to be that dragon. And there's going to Phoenix goes to the graveyard with a blood token. Makes sense. It can come back. Oh, and that play fire is going to be enough.
yeah, we'll see if what Feather decides to take out. It might not be quite well,
Because now we deal 5 damage, we can return for 2 mana the chick from the grave. It comes with a 2/2 as a 2/2, and then we also deal damage with play with fire. Oh no, we don't return the.
that yeah, the chick was exiled with the bolt,
Ah, it was exiled, but still
but
enough.
it's Xaxes.
Exactly. The math does not lie, and this is going to be game 2, but we have a game 3. And I always love when this happens because having just 2 games is not fun. Having the third game is really nice. We see that both players at least get to do something with their deck and able to win. And here, as we see, some sideboard decisions are being made. The play draw does play a huge role on this particular matchup.
Yeah, we're seeing some of those. I think the Jaya did I may have seen incorrectly, but I think the Jaya came out.
And on the other side, we are now taking a look at. I like the name of the deck, Awawa. Usually, I just name my decks after my opponent for the week so I don't mess up and choose a different deck by mistake.
That's a very smart way of doing it.
So here we see Feather going first. Gabi has an interesting end, Feather as well. So both players have playable ends. Gabi having a bit more mana than probably she desires. And we see here a mole. This end seems better, right?
It does, but I think that was Gabby's second mulligan, and if I saw that correctly, it said oh, no, sorry, just kidding, it was just 1.
Good for Gabby because mole to 5 would have been really rough here, but these 6 are very playable as we see here Mountain and starting to deal some damage with that Kumano.
Yeah, these board states look very familiar.
And we have Felden here.
Yeah, getting
3
that
damage.
Feldon out with that 1/1 counter on it, that's really nice because if Feldon does get combat damage dealt, that's more options.
And that's why that card is so good, especially here in this mirror match when you are in the aggressor seat. Because if you're trying to block, Felden is not great at it. So it really needs to be an aggressive card. Otherwise, it's no good.
Especially when in these decks, all of the damage is direct damage. There's no just your cards exiled. So if you're taking Feldon out, you're always dealing damage and your opponent will get that Feldon advantage.
And just passing the turn here from Gabi's side, keeping that lightning strike in end. And we see here that Feather going to try to go for quite a bit of damage with that Phoenix Chick entering the battlefield and also an adversary. So that's going to be a lot of damage. Feather trying to deal 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, but we know that there's a lightning strike on the other side. Let's see what Gabi decides to take.
Going to hit that Feldon. That's the largest creature. Try to prevent as much damage as possible. But there will be the 3 cards potentially exiled for Feather to choose from.
And here we see Gabi not on a great spot, but that third land comes in handy as now she will be able to deploy 2 threats this turn. And also, that invasion can play a more defensive role and just take care of a creature. And that's exactly what Gabi decides to do here.
Yeah, I think that's what Gabby needed to do just because Feather's board presence was becoming overwhelming. But we will see the exact same thing from Feather happening to Gabby.
And here, oh, I see Feather prioritizing that invasion, dealing some damage to it. We see there's still play with Fire in hand as well as an obliterated bolt. So the answers that we were talking about, that Phoenix Chick is going to enter with one more counter on it. And here, Feather can, for example, exile the Phoenix Chick with that obliterated bolt eventually and just take care now with play with fire of the 2/2 land.
It looks like Gabby's electing to hit the invasion. And oh,
Oh, what a smart play here by Feather, taking care with play of with fire of the invasion and using the dragon to block. And I think this is going to be it.
yeah, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
And
It's not it is it now.
yeah, we do have the lightning strike being able to finish off this game right now and Feather winning. Whoa, those were close matchups, and people that say that mono red no brain. What is the saying? There's some saying like that should rhyme, but I'm probably doing it wrong.
Mono
You
red go
play.
burr.
Oh, I think it's you play mono red. You have no. That's not it. But never mind. Puns aside, it looks like Federer was able to take down the game and with a lot of brain because this matchup and mirror specifically is not easy to play. We saw how that game one could have got either side, and it was so decisive. So great games here. Congratulations on Federer and also Gabby for playing and being here on the stream, which is always great. This was our third match of the day, but we have one more. We have to end Friday night on an high note. And are we going to have more mono reds? Let's see. Let's take a look at our players' profiles. We see Samantha Murphy. She's in Division 12, currently 4-1. So a great score so far here for Samantha. And she's playing 5-color ramp. What do you think of this deck?
This was the deck my first opponent this season played, and that was the first time I had seen it. And wow, was it a fun deck? for them. No, I really like this deck. The Topiary Stomper, I love that card, mostly because the art, but great card, gets you lands. The Invasion of Zendikar, that card kinda blew me away because I was not prepared when the Topiary Stopper came out and, it can't block or attack until you have so many lands, but then the Invasion comes out, gets you 2 more lands, typically gets you to the number for the Topiary Stomper to be able to start attacking, and then does 1 attack and you flip your Invasion. That was pretty wild to me the first time I saw it, and it hurt a lot. But no, I really like this deck. I think it's really cool. I like the Archangel of Wrath. Being if you're playing against an aggro deck, that Archangel can do the kicked damage, gain some life. Obviously, you have the Atraxa, a lot of exile effects with Ossification, Leyline Binding, and then you got the Farewell if everything gets away from you and you just need to start over.
Exactly. And actually, I chose to play this deck myself for this week of the VML, and I've been playing it for the last couple of weeks with some difference in card, but still the 5/4 color ramp. And it's pretty good deck. Let's see what Samantha is going to face. We have Skylar Warfield on the other side with Orzhov Midrange. So this is kind of like the mono white we have been seeing for so long, but including some black cards for some removal and also Breach the Multiverse. What do you think of this list that Skylar decided to bring here to the VML?
I do find it quite funny that it's Orzhov mid-range when it's basically, mono white with a splash of black, just for the breach the multiverse and I believe all the other black cards are actually in the sideboard. So you're looking at basically just breach the multiverse in the main board for your black splash. But this deck, you're gonna have a lot of you're looking for a little bit of graveyard recursion with that Sarah Paragon. You got the lay down arms to, keep yourself alive in the early game. And then late game, you're looking to breach the multiverse, get the Elish Norn, and you're going to have the wedding announcement to give you some blockers and incremental card draw. And if everything starts getting away from you, that Sunfall is the vital card in this deck.
And we see here that Skylar, they are 4-1 in this Division 12 as well. So two players 4-1. This is going to be super decisive for them both to try to get into the playoffs. Let's take a look at the match as players are ready to start the game. And we are taking here a look from Samantha's side. And Skylar is on the play. So here we see on Samantha's 4 land, one Atraxa, one Stomper, and one Invasion that is going to be able to ramp you. So a lot of ramp from Samantha's side.
Yeah, if I'm Samantha and I see this in my opening hand, that's a snap keep for me. Stomper on 3, Invasion on 4, flip it. Your Atrax is going to be coming out pretty close behind.
Exactly, because this is the dream. Not only do you have the ramp, you also have the payoff, which is exactly what Samantha wants to be doing in this deck. And there it is, third mana. We have the Stomper entering the battlefield. And even if Skylar is able to remove the Stomper, the effect already happened. So you already get that extra land. You already were able to ramp.
Yeah, we do know that on Skylar's side, we see 2 ossifications, a Wandering Emperor. Granted, Wandering Emperor is not going to hit that Stomper because it has Vigilance, so it never will tap. But those ossifications sure can. But we're going to see that Invasion of Zendikar come out, get 2 more lands, and turn that Stomper on. It can start stomping.
That's true. And with Vigilance, Wandering Emperor cannot minus Exilated, which is a key component here. And there we have seventh mana being played with that Triumph. And we can even deal the damage directly to the Invasion, Wandering Emperor. So
Yeah.
probably creating here a 2/2 just to chump block that.
hmm Definitely not how you want to flash the Wandering Emperor out, but it did prevent the invasion from flipping, which is very important because getting another 4/4 with vigilance, that's going to be a little difficult for Skylar to combat, and that's going to be very strong for Samantha.
And we have here lay down arms and that Wandering Emperor able to create another 2/2. But now the threat is going to arrive to the board.
Yep.
Oh, and we go for actually migration here, being able to create 5 3/3s.
Yeah, I was gonna say we Samantha had the option to do the Atraxa, but I have a feeling Samantha knows that Skylar's deck is running multiple exile effects. You know, we know there's multiple ossifications over there. So putting the all those three threes out, I think is a really smart move because it might divert Skylar's attention. And maybe Skylar will start exiling some of these beasts instead of the impending Atraxa.
Oh, that's for sure. And here paying off completely that decision. Now we can see a double block, for example, from Samantha's side, and that's going to basically trade. Ooh, binding
This
as well is pretty good.
Yeah, this is huge for Samantha because that Sarah Paragon, that's going to be kind of a pain if it stays out there getting that graveyard recursion. But if you exile it, that's four three threes that have a clear way to your health total.
Exactly. And here Atraxa is so good because even if you are able to deal with one Atraxa, it was already able to find a replacement and some more cards as well. And now we can start dealing a bunch of damage. We
Yeah.
see two of the three trees going face, one taking care of the Wandering Emperor, one taking care of the invasion. And now Skylar needs a farewell.
Yeah. A board wipe, sunfall, anything that can yeah, that is probably one of the few things that can get Skylar out of this.
The Eternal Wanderer is not bad. He's going to be able to, in a way, wipe the board in a much pleasant way uh, for Skylar here, keeping that 3-4 and Samantha only keeping the 3-3. But we see here Leyline Binding taking care of that.
Yeah, I think you want to leyline binding that, and then you can just attack your 3/3 beast into the wandering or yeah, the eternal wanderer, and then you're free to play either another herd migration, make a lot more creatures, or next Atraxa.
When you are again deciding between a Earth Migration or an Atraxa, deciding for the second time in the game, usually that's a pretty good sign.
Right? I would have to agree with you.
That's a problem I would not mind having. But we see here Loren being really good because that Loren being able to take care of Leyline Binding. And here we see how that decision to remove the 3-4 instead of the Wanderer paid off.
Yeah, we do see that Samantha does indeed have that ossification that she can put out and exile that Sarah Paragon. Oh, going to destroy Samantha's Mirex.
And here what Samantha can do is cycle a Triumph. And looks like she's going to opt to do exactly that. Here's Skylar able to get lay down arms, taking care of one of the beasts. But we know that things are not looking too good here for Skylar because Samantha has ossification, being able to take care of that Sarah Paragon, and now being able to swing with 5-3-3's face.
Yeah, and unfortunately, both of the creatures that Skylar has on their side of the field can't. You'd have to double block just to trade for one beast or just chump. So that's a rough position for Skylar to be in, especially when we know Samantha has, you know, you could play the invasion, thin your deck a little bit more, play the Atraxa. That's a better way, in my opinion, of thinning the deck. Just pulling out everything you want.
And there it is that attracts getting more value. And this card is so amazing. And Samantha just keeping the value train. I guess that's what this deck does. Just getting so much value. And Skylar needs that board wipe now.
Yeah, I would and
Oh,
oh, that
okay.
there it is.
Not that bad deciding to draw. Ooh, but drawing
Oh,
Samantha and attracts.
when again, Skylar does know that Samantha has the ossification that can take care of that token. Um, but basically, aside from Skylar's ossifications, we kind of Samantha's hand is basically, just open information for Skylar. Aside from a couple of lands.
But the thing is that Archangel of Rad, is going to start dealing so much damage because it's going to be able to deal 4 damage just by entering the battlefield. So if we can
Yeah.
eventually get a second one, this is game over. So it looks like Archangel of Rat might enter the battlefield here, even able to take care, for example, of the invasion if that's something that Samantha wants to do, and then that invasion comes with the ace is another way to deal for damage. So a lot of options here again for Samantha playing the third Atraxa of the game, I think.
Yeah, that is the third Atraxa. I don't know if you saw, but Samantha has completely taken every single basic land out of her deck at this point. It looks like there's only probably a few more triomes in there.
Once again, a problem I wouldn't mind having in this particular position. And we see here Samantha deciding to get that second Archangel of Rat, being able to deal that 8 damage next turn.
Yeah,
Having to discard here in the end step.
that's a
But
pretty great feeling knowing that you have two ways to end the game in your hand.
ossification taking care of that 7/7 Atraxa, but might not be enough. We have here a wedding announcement, being able to start doing some more threats. Oh, and the land able to draw us 2 cards.
Mhm. That roadside reliquary, it's pretty good when you're playing a lot of artifacts and enchantments.
Exactly, and here able to provide a lot of value for Skylar, but maybe a bit too late.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough for Skylar to come back from this because just having those 2 archangels in hand for Samantha and, um, granted Skylar has an ossification to take care of one of them, once it hits the battlefield, but, this herd migration comes out and then you have 5/3/3s. How do you come back from that?
Another thing that Skylar was able to do though was gain 1 point of life, which made them not die to these Archangel of Rat, or at least to double Archangel of Rat. Going down to 5 now, and we can draw a card. Companion is going to enter the battlefield. We have a Celestus. Celestus is another way for us to gain some life, but things are not looking up for Skylar, especially knowing that there is another Archangel of Rat in end. Here, trying to see with that Triumph if they can draw something, and a concession here. We're going to have a game number 2. What do you think of the sideboard here choices for our 5 color player?
Honestly, I don't really know if Samantha needs, much of the stuff in the sideboard. Her deck came through and came through strong, but it looks like some Breach the multiverses might be coming in. Um, those herd migrations did so much work. I think the Sunfalls, if I had to guess, the Sunfall just kind of felt like a dead card in Samantha's deck. But on the flip side, if Skylar's deck does start getting a little bit out of hand, that, it's a board wipe and it's useful. But looking to take out these Archangels of Wrath.
And those barrages
And
entering here, tuning a bit the deck.
yeah, electing to take out a couple of the invasions. I guess since this is a slightly longer matchup, those invasions do pull a lot of lands, but it didn't seem like Samantha was really struggling to get lands to begin with. And then there were just a couple invasions, and you have to figure out, do I divert my damage from face to this invasion just to flip it?
And here we have Skylar's position. We see here some sideboard decisions. Anything that that stood out to you, or
Um, I think the duresses are the way to go. If you can disrupt Samantha's hand before she gets going, I think that's really a key factor in this matchup. I don't necessarily know if the Wandering Emperor was that great since a lot of the creatures, the Atraxa, the Topiary Stomper, the Flipped Invasion, all have vigilance, so you can't exile with the Wandering Emperor. Um, so I
And here it looks like Samantha deciding to keep the four wedding announcements. And we are starting to see both players' hand. We see Samantha with two lands, two triumphs, two ossifications, one binding, one invasion, and one migration. And on the other side, Skylar already played a land and passed.
This is a little risky for Samantha because those ossifications can only work on basic lands. And having two triumphs and a Boseiju, none of those are basic lands. So those ossifications are currently kind of just dead cards on in her hand.
That's true, but now that Boseiju is going to allow Samantha as well to get a basic land from Earth Migration, so that's a way to get a land. But never mind, we have here a Triumph, which is great, and being able to turn those bindings into one mana cards, which that's when things go crazy.
Yeah, and an exile for a flash exile for 1 mana. Whew, can't beat
But
it.
look, that Lauren is the way to go. Now Lauren taking care of the binding and give me back my restoration of a Genjo. That's mine.
Honestly, that's so much value. You just got, 2 planes for the price of 1.
But speaking of value, look at this. Two lands. And next turn, Samantha has access to 7 mana. No Atraxane end though, so not the payoff yet, but there's a Nerd Migration, which is a way to make 5 3/3s next turn.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
getting
a lot of
5
removal.
yeah, getting 5 3/3s is going to be great. However, we do know, it looks like a Skylar will still need 1 more mana, but that Eternal Wanderer, that can take care of 5 3/3s. We saw it before and we can I'm sure we will see it again.
And here we see Samantha taking the decision, going for it. Okay, 5 3/3s on the table. What can you do? And here Lauren drawing a card, trying to get that mana for Skylar. Oh, and it looks like Skylar did not get a land. So that's actually crucial because now not able to use the Eternal Wonder right now. We have Elish Norn. And Elish Norn stops these ossifications, right?
I
And
do
Atraxa
believe so.
as well.
Yeah, I do believe so.
Actually, it stops everything that Samantha has in end.
Yeah, this is going to be difficult for Samantha since it turns off all the ETB triggers.
And Elish Norn here being an amazing card. I mean, Atraxa is still a 7/7.
Yeah,
That
it you may not be
fine.
getting all that extra value, but again, you're right. You have a 7/7 with all of these lovely keywords: flying, vigilance, lifelink, death touch. Doesn't get much better than that. The scary thing is that we know Skylar has that Eternal Wanderer in hand and is only 1 mana away from it.
And here, Samantha going for an aggressive route and attacking with everything.
Yeah, I think Samantha really has to push the damage while she can. Otherwise, um, as long as that Elish Norn's on board, um, she's going to be struggling.
But that ossification on Skylar's side is going to be able to take care of two creatures.
Yeah.
So, and now is this enough? Because Samantha is down to 15 life and looks like Skylar has 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So that's going to be two off if my math is correct.
Yep. It was. Yeah. I I'm not really sure what Samantha can draw off the top. Maybe I think she
Sunfall?
left. Yes, and she
Oh,
did. Oh.
okay. That was fun. So Sunfall here taking care of everything, and not only that, but also giving access to Samantha
Oh my gosh, and of
to
course,
create
Skylar
a
draws
big.
Samantha into second Sunfall if necessary.
Yeah, and we here have the Stomper. This game has been so swingy. I thought Skylar had it last turn, but now things might change. And not getting that sixth land. That's been like the fifth turn in a row. Okay, there's the land, actually.
But now at this point, with Samantha only having the 1 creature on board, that Eternal Wanderer, you're not going to wanna use it as a board wipe.
And you
Um,
definitely don't want to keep flipping it to get more lands.
yeah. So this puts Skylar in an interesting spot because they only need to do 2 more damage.
And this warden is amazing, but the truth is that ossification is able to take care of that, and that Samantha is going to have an 8/8 as well. Is this going to be enough? Because if there's enough mana, Samantha does have access to enough removal, and it looks like there is, because now we have ossification, and we still have another ossification or binding, and then we can transform our incubator into a 8/8, and this is going to be 12 damage.
Yeah, just completely wiped the board and swung for lethal. That is wild. Wow.
I thought Skylar had the game, but looked like they didn't. And Samantha here taking the win. And what a game we had here, Misha.
I know that.
Whoa.
Yeah, Samantha held on with 2 HP in a dream and managed to turn it around and get lethal. That was a very interesting, final game of the night.
What a day we had. What a Friday night. I hope everyone enjoyed head home. Did you enjoy, Misha? Any highlight that you want to share with us?
I had so much fun. I'm a mono red fan, so having 3 matches with mono red matchups was amazing, and that was a great way to end the night.
I want to thank you, Misha, for being such an amazing co-host during this night. The first time we are co-hosting the VML together. It's been such a pleasure. You are a wonderful person, and you are amazing at this. And also, thank you, Phoebe, so much. Phoebe works behind the stages, doing all the production for the VML, also taking care of the chat, like doing so much. I don't know how, but thank you so much, Phoebe. Also, thank you to our amazing sponsors, Good Luck i5 and Wizards of the Coast. Without these, it wouldn't be possible to make the VML happen. And thank you so much for our players. I saw some of you in the chat tonight. I took a peek, and congratulations for those of you that won the match this week. And thank you so much to everyone that watches, plays, and everyone at home. We will be back next week for the last week before playoffs at 6 p.m. Pacific time, as always on Friday. See you next time.